Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Aaron Herman. We're here at Fairleigh Dickinson University in Teaneck, New Jersey, celebrating Veterans Day. We had the opportunity to attend the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey Brith and Hillel event honoring World War II veteran Howard Schlossman and Holocaust survivor Raymond Fishler. Let's take a closer look. So today is Veterans Day in the United States, and when you think of the lives that are lost, it's very heartening to know that there are people who can tell their stories. And both of you have been involved in major historical events. And,
very much involved.
And so I'd love to take this time to give a little background on the history that you've seen.
Begin with him. He suffered more than I.
And we'll be talking about some of the, as a Holocaust survivor, you have sort of a unique experience with American soldiers. So let's start with you and talk about.
Okay, you start.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What should I talk about?
So talk about. So give it actually know who you are.
Oh,
Yeah.
Howard Schlossman, a physician of 70, going on 77 years. And being a doctor, I've loved every minute of it. Born in Brooklyn and educated in St. Louis at St. Louis University, and in the Army for 4.5 years. As soon as I finished my internship, boom, I would, July 1st, 41, we were still at peace, and I was in the Army. And I arranged very quickly, because I didn't like, I was posting in a southern city, Hattiesburg. I elected to go to Panama, to the Canal Zone, and I was there until Patton needed me to help him win the war in Europe. So I left.
That's a big undertaking.
Yeah. So my unit was pulled out of the Canal Zone, and in a very short order, I was on a boat and landed in Glasgow, and were part of the build-up for the Normandy invasion. And that was I was part of Patton's army, and the Normandy. And I was in every action the army, the Third Army, was in, from the Normandy, from Utah Beach until we met the Russians. I never got wounded, but boy, I had some mighty close calls, which I will talk about later.
And so, as a Holocaust survivor, being liberated and seeing the American soldiers, what was your first sort of emotion when you saw the soldiers? Yeah.
At first, when I was liberated, ironically, the night before the end of the war, I was hiding in a barn with 50 German soldiers, deserters, waiting for the Americans to be liberated by. And that morning I woke up, I looked out the opening, didn't sleep that night. I looked up to the opening in the walls, and I saw silhouettes of army men, but they didn't look like Germans. And I realized that finally, after the long war of 5 years, 8 months and 8 days, I was finally a free man, liberated. At first I was shocked, because we did not expect it to survive. We couldn't imagine that it's all over. My father and I were left out of 8 of us in my family. We stood there, looked at each other. What now, where now? During the war we had no time to realize how hard we were hit by the happenings of the war. But then we realized, and we were shocked, what losses we sustained. I started to walk, not knowing where, and I met the first American soldier He was standing at the side of the street and just looking for Jewish survivors. When he asked me if I'm Jewish, I said yes. He hugged us, my father and me, and he was the happiest person. He said when he left America, he was from California. He promised his parents that he would look for Jewish survivors. We were the first ones that he met. It was an incredible reunion. And I realized he was Jewish, and he was very nice, very kind, asking us all kinds of stories. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was on the outside of a wood. And then he said, I asked, he said, Harry, I'm hungry. And he went back to he was in the medical unit.
Oh.
Yeah. And he went over to his truck, opened his truck, came back with disinfection, with powders, with towels, all kinds of medications. And he said, I said, but Harry, I need food, I'm hungry. And he gave me the most important advice. He said, you will get food, but remember, I know that you're hungry. Eat slowly.
Right.
Don't start too fast, because if you start too fast, you might die.
That's right.
And it happened to many of my prisoners. They ate too fast and they died. They did not make it, even though they lived through the war. Also, when I saw my mother the last time, she told me to look up my aunt in America, in New York. I had no address. I only knew her name. He promised me that he will help me find my aunt when he gets back to the States. He came back, he put ads in the forwards in many Jewish papers, and through him I connected with my aunt. It was really amazing. Yeah, he kept his promise. But what I feel sorry until this day, this was a time, the first day after my liberation. My mind wasn't to take his name, he told me Harry Schiff. I looked, I tried to find out after the war, and I couldn't. Yeah, I wish I would have had his address or his name. But he didn't know where he was going, I didn't know where I was going. And we just parted. But this was the first American that I encountered.
So you were there during liberation.
Yeah.
And so as a Jew, liberating your fellow, like your family, what was the feelings that you were going through your mind?
Well, I'll be perfectly candid. By the time we got to Buchenwald, and that's the first conviction that we saw of the evil of the Nazis. Before that, rumors and so on. But we know that in World War I, the British pushed out a lot of propaganda about the bad things the Germans were doing, which was not true. So we were too sophisticated. We weren't going to be taken in until we actually saw what a camp was like and what the survivors were like. But I'll be candid. I had seen by that time so much death. So many guys I knew died, and who I tried to fix up, and some I could save, some I couldn't, etc., that I was hardened about. So I didn't get emotional at all then. However, to the present day, when I see on television films about the liberation and the opening of the camps, now I cry. I never cried then.
As you can see from Howard's and Raymond's stories, it's important to understand where you come from, to know where you're going. And Veterans Day provides us the opportunity to reflect and honor those who served and saved the lives of thousands of people. This is Owen Herman, and thanks for watching.